Hello, everybody. It's the Old Bear from the Old Bear's Den of Bigfoot, and tonight we're giving you a view of our fireplace here at home. It's just this is a story that I'm gonna do for a gentleman. He sent it to me, and I'm about to go and put the smack down on a cat, or better yet, my wife is. We're not going to hurt the cat. Don't worry. Uh, I'm doing this story for John. Um, And it starts out, he says, in May of 2016, during one of his visits to his parents' house in Filbert, West Virginia, he said he had an event that changed his life forever. Before that event, I was somewhat skeptical. I had seen movies and news on Bigfoot, but my opinion was still up in the air. He said, I was walking in the 5 Right area. It is up the road from my parents' house. It was cold enough to wear a coat, and the time was late evening. I was traveling on the dark side of the bottom of the mountain. I was making my way back to my parents' house. I heard 4 tree knocks. I stopped to determine the origin with no success. I then proceeded to walk again, then heard 4 more knocks. He looked around and tried to investigate it, but to no avail. He said, I proceeded to walk again, looking down to see where I was stepping. I then heard noise 20 foot above me. Looked up and saw movement in the small limbs where something had passed parallel to my travel. It passed before I could see the object. It looked like it traveled straight and fast. I then decided I should proceed to travel on. When I told my parents, they laughed. They informed me that someone 2 weeks prior to my arrival had seen Bigfoot at the goldfish pond. Let's fast forward to May of 2019. We thought we were losing my dad. My brother and I drove from Louisiana straight to West Virginia. While time permitted, my nephew and I did 4 knocks and got no replies. One night while I stayed at the hospital to look after my father so my mother could get some rest, she informed me during that night something had slapped the house. Is it because we did the tree knocks prior? Your guess is as good as mine. When I was leaving to go home, I told my nephew to look for X structures because my dad got out of the hospital. He located one going up the mountain towards the goldfish pond. He concluded that it was placed there. I asked why he thought that. He said there were no stumps around there. He took a picture of it and with some other strange things and of other strange things and sent them to me. In July of that year, my wife, grandson, and I made a visit to my parents. So my wife was curious about Bigfoot like me. I had did some research and discovered to do 1 tree knock, no more or anything more could be aggressive. So the first evening we went to the top of the mountain past the goldfish pond closer to the Miracle Mountain log cabin. We discovered another big X by the gate going to the cabin. My nephew and I had to climb the road bank to get to it. As we ascended, my nephew said something threw a rock at him. I noticed leaves kicked up in front of him, but I just thought he was messing with me, so I took a picture by the X and noticed this huge arch. As we walked over by the arch, I felt a huge foot stomp. It vibrated my body. I then instructed my nephew, let's go. That night, we decided to go back and do a single tree knock at the pond. We backed up to the pond so that our exit could be fast. My wife and grandson came with us. We got out and did a single knock. Immediately got a reply, at which time I handed my nephew the stick and said, hit it again, to see if it was an echo. No, it wasn't an echo. I hollered, let's go. We left in a hurry. The next day, we went to the pond to put up my game camera. We installed it 10 feet up in the tree looking towards the pond. That night, we went back up the mountain with LED spotlights on our heads. Windows down, me looking up the mountain and nephew looking down the mountain. We passed the pond and turned around at the X structure by the cabin gate, heading back to the pond. When we got to the pond, I saw eye shine of one eye, while my nephew saw two. I have hunted the biggest part of my life in swamps of Louisiana and the mountains of West Virginia. I have seen eye shine, but never like that. The color looked pure gold and the size of a beer can bottom. We took off like a scalded dog out of there. The next day I retrieved the pics and glanced at them and was disappointed. It was much later that I went back and discovered images and was shocked. While up there at the pond, I encountered two gentlemen discussed a man seeing Bigfoot there. One of them scoffed at the notion. Typical not knower. He was a skeptic. I mentioned I was just making them aware of things and gave an example. I had once found a doe that was dead and no signs of predation or signs of cause of death. I could tell it got his attention. I asked what. He informed me of a bear he and his brother found in the same condition. I asked where was it located. Spice Creek was his reply. I asked, was it by the beaver pond? He replied, yes. Then I told him that was the spot I found the doe. Him and his friend took off. My hunting buddy hunted there at Spice Creek and heard a scream he could not recognize, plus a tree stand torn from a tree that was 20 feet up the tree. In some other conversations, a woman had contacted me about her husband and friend had seen it on that mountain crossing the road in one stride. He will not talk to anyone except her and his friend. A man had a dead horse near there. He went home and returned an hour later to find the corpse gone and not a sign of what happened to it. A horse that died and it's not there? Ain't no man gonna do that. And he says he has, so these are the reasons with some closure to my home and that are closer to my home in Louisiana. And he's not mentioned them. And I'm going to give him a call and see if he'll talk to me about Louisiana and bring those to you. But that happened at near his family's place here in West Virginia. Actually, it's near where I've been Bigfooting in my early years and my later years before I met my beautiful wife. And so that's his account of Bigfoot here in West Virginia. I hope you enjoy it. Listen to it. And if you can figure out what took the horse away, let me know, please. I would like to know. Thank you, guys. May all of you stay blessed, and we'll see you next time.